Chapter 9. A speech to end all speeches. Luca awoke to find himself face down in bed. He moaned into his pillow. Why would Gran drug him?
First of all, that jam wasn't even intended for him. So how did Gran do it?
Or rather, why was she trying to drug Mr. Nuncreed?
That part.
Shaking the questions from his woozy head, Luca snapped back to the matter at hand.
The festival. Just making sure she ain't here or nothing. Our friends, where have you been? Gran put something in the jam. Yeah, we know. Secret messages for secret conspirators? Not this one. The one intended for Mr. Nuncreed put me to sleep. Whoa, ho, ho. Sly devil. I think she's trying to remove him from the equation. He might be in danger. We don't like Mr. Nuncreed. Have you found anything? Looked around, but haven't seen anything odd. Their Gran is nowhere to be found. But Mr. Nuncreed is just loafing around waiting for the speech. What speech? Mayor Gus just got up to the podium. Everyone's gathering at the stage. Let's get moving. Crowds the whole town, seeing people I haven't
Augustus
seen
Valentine
before.
nervously wiped his brow.
He says he doesn't like doing speeches. We like Augustus. He looks stressed. Is this thing? Hello, Beacon Pines. I'm Augustus Valentine, your mayor, and I suppose you already know that. Oh yes, before we get started, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize someone who couldn't be here today. This town wouldn't be where it was without my father, Sharper Valentine. So I thought we could begin with a round of applause befitting such a great man. Even that's more than that old codger deserved.
Gus cleared his throat and awkwardly loosened his tie.
Right, where was I?
William Kerr bounded on the stage with the energy of a preacher at a big tent revival.
Gus Valentine, everyone.
He gave Gus a hearty slap on the back and motioned him off the stage.
Let's hear it for our mayor. What a great turnout. Oh, heck, I didn't prepare anything. But I suppose I could say a few words. It would be a shame to waste such a beautiful podium.
Mr. Kerr pulled a thick stack of note cards out from his vest.
Didn't prepare anything. Community, conviction, commitment. These are the things we celebrate at Perennial Harvest. For us, these are the pillars of the bridge to a better tomorrow. But I think it's time to add a new pillar. Change. Change is a powerful thing. It's inexorable, unavoidable, and undeniable. And I daggone thankful for it. Change is the reason we're all together today. It's hard for me to believe that it was only 4 years ago when fate brought me here. A simple business trip which brought me to a small town which would change my life forever.
Mr. Kerr took a moment to survey the crowd.
You know what?
He wiped away a single tear.
For a second, from the second I set foot in Beacon Pines, something about this place has held me captive. You see, change represents opportunity. It represents potential. It was change that helped me recognize the potential of this place. To see that people of this town, despite suffering great loss, still held on to things that made them special.
He thumped the podium to emphasize each word.
Community, conviction, commitment. Change.
Mr. Kerr nodded confidently, biting his lip. The crowd was silent, in rapt attention.
Fate made a perfect match that day. Nothing is more important to you all than community. And Perennial Harvest is community first and foremost.
Mr. Kerr methodically made eye contact with each section of the crowd.
The only way you made it through the foul harvest was with unshakable conviction. A conviction that a better tomorrow was just on the horizon. Perennial Harvest was founded on the conviction that we are that horizon. The festival is a symbol of our commitment to each other.
His voice began to build to a crescendo.
We now walk hand in hand into a future we shape together. And that is what change is all about. Grabbing the future by the scruff of the neck and making things happen. Change is choice. I am tickled pink that we will all be making that choice together. How great is that? It's definitely giving villainy mayor talk speech. Just imagine what we can accomplish. What was that?
The crowd began to look around nervously.
Oh, this is gonna freeze over again? Don't worry, Little Thunder isn't going to ruin this day. Everyone remain calm.
Mr. Kerr quickly flicked through his note cards.
Where was I? Through all my travels, I've learned one true thing. One always reaps what they sowed. We have all planted a lot of good in this town. And so it is with a happy heart that I can proclaim...
He raised his hands up to the heavens.
Our harvest awaits. Dang, we froze again.
At that moment, a merciless wall of impossibly cold air ripped through the crowd, instantly freezing everyone and everything it touched. For a man like William Kerr, this was a fitting way for things to end.
Dang!
On a stage, with an entire town frozen in rapt attention for the rest of time. The end. There's that ice again! Whenever I think we're getting close, it comes along and ruins everything!
Bro.
Maybe we should just quit?
Nah.
Maybe you should just close the book, walk away, and never think of me again.
Aw, who are you?
No, I don't mean that. We got a little closer this time. We just need to try again.
We're getting super close. I can feel it.
Please.
I'm with you, narrator. Okay, so we have not Sly. We could keep going this way. We also have Sly over here. I think let's stick with Sly. I'm curious.
They'd run the classic good cop, sly cop interrogation. Luca and Rollo ducked behind a barrel, leaving Beck to her task. With a few crisp snaps, she roused Mr. Tolliver.
What? What's going on here? You're that middle girl. Mildwell girl? Please call me Beck. Sorry about all of this.
Mr. Tolliver looked down and shifted a bit, testing his restraints.
It seems there's been a mix-up. You see, I'm down here for the same reason you are. Juniper sent you?
Beck caught herself before letting the surprise manifest on her face. She'd already gotten him to reveal his relation to Gran. This was gonna be easy.
You know how Juniper is with her precautions. Operation Sparkplug has us all on edge. I guess she thought you needed some backup. But she sent a child? Way better way to avoid prying eyes. Who would suspect a kid? I suppose that makes sense.
Mr. Tolliver wriggled a bit in his restraints.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Beck quickly removed the ropes.
That had to be uncomfortable. A little, yeah. But you understand, we never know who to trust in this town.
Mr. Tolliver rubbed the growing knot on his forehead.
Very, very true. So it turns out we're both here to...
Beck twirled her hand, as if to prompt Mr. Tolliver to finish her thought.
destroy the evidence.
Beck shook her head and clicked her tongue.
Yep, that old gal is nothing if not thorough.
Mr. Tolliver let out an amused huff in agreement.
She sure is. Can't blame her, though. If anyone were to find out that we're going to destroy the source, well, we both know how bad that'd be. No one will know anything once I finish cleaning things up down here.
Beck was on a roll now, playing Mr. Tolliver like a fiddle.
That's my fiddle sound. You're sure you can finish this up on your own? Juniper trusted me for a reason. You can leave the rest to me. But there is one more loose end I'll go work on. Loose end? Oh, it's nothing really. The other day I had the radio on skin while we're stocking the candy shelf, and wouldn't you know it, I intercepted an odd phrase in the perennial harvest transmission. Underground secrets. That's ominous. I think it might be a password, but Juniper dismissed it. Said it wasn't mission critical. What's the password for? We don't know. So we have a password and nowhere to put it. It's gotta mean something, right? Good thinking. You should probably work that out. I got this under control. That's a relief. Better you and me. This basement, between you and me, this basement gives me willies.
Heading for the stairs, Mr. Tolliver hesitated and turned to Beck with a puzzled look. She grinned and gave him a peppy wave. With a shrug, he continued up the stairs, whistling a jaunty tune.
You guys catch that? Sure did. The whole time, Mr. Tolliver's had a candy shelf, but all he ever sells is his apples.
Beck blinked slowly in disappointment.
I love Rollo. He's my favorite. The password, Rollo. Well, sure, but once things are back to normal, I'll be having a word with Mr. Tolliver about that candy shelf. Fine. In the meantime, I've got an idea.
She turned to the table and began tearing small scraps of paper.
He said he heard a password on the radio. A good spy transmission is never what it seems.
Beck marked each scrap of paper and leaned back.
We just need to find the hidden meeting. Okay. What's another word for underground? Buried? Covered? Could it be cover up? Maybe it's one of those each letter is a numbers thingies. So U would be 21, N would be 14, D would be... it's an anagram. Nun Creed's drugstore.
Luca and Beck looked at Rollo with amazement.
Rollo, that was incredible. Well, it's either that or Crin's nude drugstore. Yeah, I think you're right the first time. How did you do it? What can I say? I love ciphers. Well, I guess we know where to go next. Investigate the drugstore. In the middle of the night. Now let's... Uh-oh. Should we talk to her? You scared me half to death. Sorry. You kids haven't seen Mr. Tolliver around, have you? Nope. It's got me waiting around like it's the last slice of pie. I swear that man would be late to his own funeral. Had to do it just to be like, if there was a, what's it called? Charm. Never know when you're gonna get a charm. Where we're going? To Mr. Nun Creed's drugstore. Ooh. You're late, Augustus. Sorry, sister. Was caught up with work. Work? You? I had a few more details locked down for the festival. Oh, what do you have to report? What is this Insipid Town Festival? What is this Insipid Town Festival really about? I
Gus
think
looked around nervously.
Mr. Kerr really does just want to do something good for the town. He's actually a pretty nice guy. You should spend some time with him. I didn't pull strings installing you as mayor so that you could make friends. Your job is to help me figure out what Kerr and the Perennial Harvest's true intentions are with this town. We have a responsibility. This is our father's town. Excuse me? This was our father's town. He's gone, Eris, and he isn't coming back. Father left us with nothing but problems. Mr. Kerr came here and offered to help us. We accepted that help. We didn't agree to them turning Father's warehouse into a toxic dumping ground. That is just a temporary arrangement. The glow can be seen from the damn backyard. They are dumping their nasty little secrets on us. When this all inevitably goes wrong, who do you think will be blamed?
Eris's cry hung in the air.
We have a new choice to make now, sister. This town is going to change whether we like it or not. Are we going to choose to be a part of the future or be forgotten in the past? It's a shame. Father named you Augustus, but you will always just be Gus. Good night, Eris. I'll see you at breakfast tomorrow. I respect the Eris now. It's getting late, children. Let's go talk to this person I'm always reading. Knowledge, he spat with a sneer. There exists a gulf between knowing something and being able to do a damn thing about it. I don't hate it when the villain makes a good point. Oh, so we're gonna learn something but not have ability to handle it. So close. Nun Creed's. Oh, look, the little dude's here. Hey, little dude.
Solomon stood proudly at the entrance to the drugstore, holding a brown bag overflowing with black licorice.
Ew. Hey, Solomon. We're looking for Mr. Nuncreed. Is he still there? I'm afraid not. Then where'd you get that candy? You might say we have an arrangement.
Solomon shoveled a surprising amount of licorice into his mouth.
Sometimes it's the small pleasures in life that we might not always have family to rely on. Though we might not always have family to rely on, licorice has never let me down. Well, I can't say licorice would be my first choice, but whatever floats your boat. You can tell a lot about a person by their choice of confection. Oh yeah, I guess. I like sourdops. I'm certain you do. I always wonder why Mr. Nuncreed kept licorice in stock. You must eat enough of it to make it worthwhile. There are many ways to earn loyalty. For some, it's as easy as a cold, hard cash. Well, he's right, it's locked. There's gotta be more clues. Okay, let's see. Who's where? Oh, let's check the telephone booth. You know there's something shady over there. Have you ever seen anyone actually use this thing? Besides Mr. Nuncreed, no.
Beck cupped her hands on the glass to peek inside.
This is not a normal phone booth. It's got like a blinky keypad. Why would there be a blinky keypad? Creed's new drugstore. Underground secrets. The password.
Beck flung open the door and they all squeezed in.
Oh boy, are we going down there? I'm scared. All right, let's see here.
Luca cracked his knuckles and entered the letters into the keypad.
Underground secrets. Sounds like that did something. Great, now what?
The inside of the phone booth dropped loose from its shell. Without even the space to panic, they closed their eyes, held their breath, and accepted their fate. Suddenly, the chaotic descent slowed to an effortless landing. It was unclear where they ended up, but at least it was solid ground.
Whoa.
The air was stagnant and smelled vaguely of chlorine.
I knew it. You knew there was a secret hub full of strange tubes around the phone booth. Of course I did. Didn't I say that? No. I definitely thought it. Luca, do you remember when I said how cool it would be if a trans-dimensional conduit from Hank Atomic's issue number 12 were real? Rolo, at one point or another, you said that about every technology ever discussed in Hank Atomic. That's why I'm such a good predictor. It looks like each of these has something written on them. Mining Operations Alpha. You guys have mines here? Not that I know of. The town's all farms and fertilizer. And a series of tubes. Paul always says you can only trust a miner up to the point where they hit gold. Not sure how that wisdom applies in this exact situation. That's the thing about Pa. You don't always realize what he means until it's too late. Perennial Harvest main office. That's where my mom works. What does she do? Science stuff? Is she involved in all of this? We just moved here. How could she be involved? True. Valentine Fertilizer Warehouse. Isn't that where you almost got snatched? Yeah. Why would Perennial Harvest have a tube going to the Valentine place? This is starting to feel like something big. I was just waiting for like a sound of something. Oh gosh, what's gonna happen next? This suit has a broken mass. So we found the mystery warehouse creeper? We've at least found their hazmat suit. If it walks like Nun Creed and it talks like Nun Creed, let's not jump to conclusions. Just saying. That's a lot of buttons. Stand aside, Earthlings. I've read enough Hank Atomics to know my way around sci-fi tech.
Rollo's hands hovered over the field of blinking buttons.
He's about to push all the buttons. Eeny, meeny, miny. Rollo, what did you do? Nothing. I didn't even mow yet. What was that? Hide. Where? I was about to say that. Where they gonna hide? There's nothing but weird tubes down here. Let's just get back. Oh, we're in trouble. Shit. Awesome. You all need to come with me now. We aren't going anywhere with you. Not until you give us some answers. Mr. Underground of Secrets? Told them that was an absurd password. But they love anything that makes them feel clever. They who? That's no matter. If I can keep you hidden until after the festival, I might be able to save your skin. We don't care about our skin. Hold on now, I like my skin. This all stops now, Nun Creed.
Joseph waited for a moment in silence.
You sound like him. His dad. Who? Walt? You don't get to talk about my dad. You know, your father and I were friends back before
He gestured toward the strange tubes.
all of this. That's a lie. It's true. I used to bounce you on my knee. What happened? Same thing that always happens. Reality, complications, life. We were a team, Walt and I. An idealistic doctor and a bright-eyed pharmacist. Both hell-bent on helping folks. So you were his sidekick. No, we were partners. He helped the patients and I helped him. Total sidekick.
Nuncreed let out a growl of a sigh.
Luca, I need you to know this. I need someone to know this. One day, Sharper Valentine comes to us, says he's got an opportunity. He found something he didn't quite understand, and he was willing to pay us both handsomely to help him understand it. And my dad said no, right? Your father and I both believed in helping people, but the thing I could never get him to understand was it's a lot easier to help others if you help yourself now and then. Classic sidekick into villain byline. Walt loved being righteous almost more than he loved his family. He was wrong about one thing, though. When he begged me not to take Valentine's offer, he said, Joseph, if a person says yes one time to Sharper Valentine, he'll make sure they keep on saying yes to him until the day he's dead and gone.
He shook his head wistfully.
Sharper's long gone, but he still got me saying yes. Is there a point to your sob story? Not really, no. Just an old man trying to delay what needs doing.
Nuncreed took a menacing step
This
towards
is like
the
the
children.
villain telling a story before he does villainy. Nuncreed took a minute. Oh yeah. I tried to keep you safe. I tried to keep you and Juniper out of this, but you forced my hand.
Luca began to laugh.
What? You really don't know. My Gran isn't out of this. She's been scheming right under your nose. Juniper? Seems like she's planning on crashing the town's party. She's gonna disrupt the festival? Why would she?
The color drained from Nuncreed's face.
How does she know? Apparently, she knows a lot of things. What? Let's just say this isn't the only underground layer we busted into today. And honestly, hers is cooler. She's got maps and explosives and bad intentions, big man.
Nuncreed grabbed Luca by the shoulders. His eyes were frantic.
You need to tell me what she's going to do right now. She doesn't understand what it is she's messing with. Tell me now. She's in danger, boy. I don't know. She had a map with the mark in the fountain in John Square. The fountain, but why would...
A jolt of realization struck Mr. Nuncreed.
She knows about the source? What the heck is the source? If she tried to destroy the source, it could catalyze and... Dear God, she's gonna freeze us all. You all need to run. Run where? Away. As far away from this town as you can get. Head west and don't look back. Okay, that was kind of cool. Okay, that did not go how I expected it. So we're totally following him, right? Totally. See you on the side. You good? Yep. I love this town.
Chapter 8. The Cold, Hard Truth. Beck leapt up, allowing the suction to yank her into the dark. Dimness eclipsed around her like the shutter of a camera, as she seemed to cover great distance in mere moments. Her only points of reference were glints of upcoming turns, which approached with frightening speed, only to carom her gracefully along. She heard the tinny, distant echoes of Rollo's glee. Once she stopped fighting against it, the ride was impossibly smooth. Then, all of a sudden, as if minutes had passed in an instant, light blazed into view. A burst of wintry air snuffed across her face, and she was flung out into the cold.
This was the mining spot, right? That was intense. Yeah. I think I might have parted with some fluids in there. Any idea where we are? Somewhere cold. Doesn't look like it got on any of us. I didn't feel like we traveled that far. So where did it all go? This place sucks. Why would anyone want to blow something up here? Only one way to find out, I suppose. We gotta catch up to Nuncreed. I think he went this way. Hey, this looks like Beacon Pines. The town is frozen. Okay, this is starting to feel really familiar. I may not be the most well-versed on things, Beacon Pines, but this does seem like a replica of the town. Ah, got it. It's so obvious now. Mr. Nuncreed is an alien! Rollo, stick with me here. His species can only live in sub-zero temperatures. Oh boy, here we go. The source is their base camp dimension, so naturally they keep it cold. We found it traveling through the metallic wormhole back there. The final objective, kill us all and shapeshift into Beacon Pine citizens for their choosing. You never really had me. But you very much lost me there. You get used to it. We should keep moving. Also, hold on, can I go back to this? These are dead. I can't do anything.
As they rounded the corner to the frozen town square, they spotted Mr. Nuncreed inching cautiously toward a pit at its center. He held his arms out gingerly, as if approaching a beast in the wild. Upon closing the distance, Luca recognized what Nuncreed was after. Gran stood confidently at the edge, one arm outstretched over the abyss. Nearby, a wheelbarrow had been emptied out. She held a lit torch, which flickered in the bitter wind.
Juniper, I don't know what you're thinking you're doing, but I assure you this is not going to solve anything. If you drop that, you've doomed this whole town. Oh, it wasn't me who doomed this town. I've been watching you, Joseph. I know what you've done. You and your co-conspirators. Gran? Oh, Gran, my face got soft. What's happening? Luca, you and your friends need to leave right this moment.
Mr. Nuncreed turned back toward the kids, desperation in his eyes.
Uh-oh. Listen to your grandma, Luca. This is between me and Juniper.
Rollo and Beck held steadfast in awe. Luca approached closer. Mr. Nuncreed spun back toward Gran, his voice growing louder.
You got it all wrong, Juniper. Just hand over that torch. You don't understand what you're doing. How could I possibly trust you to do the right thing? Walt told me everything. He trusted you, and you betrayed that trust. Luca, did you know that this man's entire life is a lie? If it weren't for him, your father might still be alive.
Mr. Nuncreed winced with anguish.
Ooh.
His voice hardened.
That's not true.
They both now yelled, not to each other, but at fate itself.
Ooh.
Making their peace with long-held burdens. The wind howled with encouragement.
Walt was like a brother to me. We just had different ideas about how to affect change. Very convenient that your way just happened to line your pocket. Now That's not fair.
They menaced at each other, both catching their breath.
Why is the town frozen?
The moment balanced on a knife's edge. Amid a blur of emotions and memories, Luca's mind flooded with questions. The wind calmed, as if to give him the stage.
And in the stillness, he began to... Oh, we only have an option, weep.
And in the stillness, he began to weep. It was all just too much.
Yeah, for a little boy.
Falling to his knees, Luca whimpered softly. The tears crystallized as they hit the snow. Gran stared at Luca for a moment with warm sympathy, remembering why this was all necessary.
This'll all make sense soon, Luca. Then everything can go back to normal. I promise.
She stiffened up and brandished the torch at Mr. Nuncreed.
You can't hide behind those people any longer, Joseph. Once this precious source is destroyed, we'll see where their loyalties fall. Juniper, don't.
Ignoring his final plea, Gran flung the torch into the deep darkness. She smiled and exhaled in relief.
Okay,
Mr.
we're all
Nuncreed
gonna
moaned in
freeze.
resignation. The torch echoed as it ricocheted down the hole, punctuated with a thunderous thud.
Yep. You see, Joseph, I've learned one very important lesson in life. If you want things to change, then you must be willing to...
Before Gran could finish, the ground shook her to silence.
Yikes.
Gran only had time to spin around and run to Luca. Her attempt to shield him, an honorable but trifling act.
Hey, trifling.
Unflinching love, pitted against an unthinking horror. There was no contest. Her warm embrace froze in an instant. That is where they remain, fixed in place, forever. And so, our story ends on this melancholy scene. In a town brought low by its secrets, sits the frozen statues of a misguided band of meddlers. The end. Well, that was dire.
Yeah, girl, what's up?
On the bright side, we finally figured out where all the ice is coming from.
True.
Now, we just need to find a way to deal with a mystic, unfathomable force of nature.
Super easy, barely an inconvenience. Alright. Looks like the only way to go is... There's different places, but this is the only other option, so we must do flight. Man, this is going way back. I don't even know what chapter we're on anymore.
Luca drew himself up and decided to take the only option they had left. Flight. He squinted down the barrel of the mission control defense cannon, aiming it through an opening in the dense tree branches. He looked up with surprise as it struck true and taut.
Wow, I can't believe that worked. Hey, Mr. Kerr. We'd love to hear your thoughts, but I'm afraid we have places to be. Come on, Iggy. See ya, jerks. Sigh. Fine. We know where that leads them. This way, we'll take the tunnels.
Luca and Iggy winced as they sprinted through the thicket. The branches clawed at them, reluctant to give passage. After what felt like a marathon, Luca stopped in his tracks as they reached the clearing. What the? That was all he was able to say before Iggy slammed into his back. The boys tumbled down a steep decline and crashed with a wheezing thud on a surface as hard as ice. In fact, it was ice. Chapter 5.
Dang, we only back in chapter 5.
Signs. They stood silently, catching their breath. The sky was like sapphire. With each breath, a plume of steam escaped from Luca's lungs. Let's keep moving. Luca pulled Iggy to his feet as they gazed across a snowy terrain.
Well, this is familiar. That was actually pretty badass. Uh-huh. I think we lost him. Are we up in the mountains? I don't think so. If anything, we went downhill. Then what's up with this winter wonderland? All I know is there's no way we're going back. Let's see if we can get our bearings. Follow me. Find a way home. Ooh. What's the readout? Sitting just above 258 Kelvin. That's down a bit from last time. Should we report this to Mr. Kerr? Meh, we still have the safe range. It may be spreading, but it's under control for now. Even a small nudge in the equilibrium could cause a cascade. Dude, relax. Just a few more sites to hit before we can punch out. Let's get this over with. What's all this? Hard to say with all the snow. I think it's a town sign. I can almost make out the letters under there. What town could this even be? This couldn't be another town this deep into Weepwood. I'm looking at the evidence to the contrary. Let's figure out what we're dealing with. Step 1, snow's gotta go. I'll see what I can do. Oh, cool. We got using snow to get rid of snow.
The boys stared in disbelief at the sign that now clearly read, "Welcome to Beacon Pines."
That doesn't make any sense. We're in Beacon Pines? How's that possible? You ran from town. How did we get back here? I guess we got turned around. Where did all the snow come from? Well, it has been colder than normal lately. There's a pretty big difference between sweater weather and an Arctic hellscape. The puddle we fought at before, it was cold too. Maybe it leads to one source. You think it's related? What the hell is going on? We're gonna get you some answers. Let's keep moving. What's it? Luca, where are you there?
Luca had almost forgotten the walkie-talkie he was carrying.
It's that bozo Kerr. I hope nothing bad has happened to you out in the woods.
Luca looked at Iggy with hesitation.
No need to be rude.
With a resigned sigh, Luca responded.
It seems like the only dangerous thing in the woods is you. He speaks, the young man of the hour. Now, how in tarnation did you end up in one of our radios? With one of our radios. Just lucky, I guess. But howdy, you Van Horns are full of surprises, aren't you? You knew my parents? I never had the honor of meeting your father, but your mom sure was a handful.
Luca winced, shoving the walkie-talkie back into his pocket.
We gotta keep moving. It's all frozen.
Looking down at the frozen stream, Luca could faintly see a school of minnows encased in the ice.
Whatever happened here, it happened fast. The fish didn't even have time to run. Or, swim run.
The crunching of footsteps trailing Luca went hush. He looked back to see Iggy's face twisted with confusion.
Everyone's gone. What? There's nothing here but more snow. There's gotta be an explanation. We have to keep looking. You can look all you want. I quit. We have to keep going. You don't get it, do you? This isn't one of your pathetic Hank Atomic stories. We aren't going to save the day. We aren't going to save ourselves. My face is mangled. The town is destroyed. And everyone we've ever known is gone. Look, we don't know that. You can't just quit. Do whatever you want. I'm done. Iggy, it's gonna be okay.
Luca peered upward at the darkening sky. He let out a long, foggy breath. Faintly, Iggy began to cry.
Aww.
Seeing Iggy in such a pathetic state gave Luca a sense of compassion, and more than a little guilt.
It is getting pretty late, I think. Probably not a great idea to stumble around in the dark.
Luca allowed himself to collapse next to Iggy.
Let's just rest for a bit. Oh, this is gonna end really quickly.
The boys huddled together for warmth and comfort. If not for exhaustion, their minds would be racing, trying to make sense of the events of the day. As it was, all they had energy for was to sit in silence, numb.
I'm running out of options. The way the snow covered everything over, it's kind of common. Yeah. I haven't had time to say it, but thanks. Huh? For getting us away from the creeps. I sort of froze back there. Iggy, I should be the one apologizing. This all happened because I lost my temper. Nah, that's bull hockey. First of all, you didn't know what the gunk would do. You didn't, right? Of course not. And second, stop with this baloney about losing your temper. But I did lose my temper.
Iggy motioned sarcastically to his half-deformed face.
Obviously. But that's exactly what you should have done. Huh? I was being a horse's ass. You were supposed to be a horse's ass in response. That's how it works. Iggy, I'm having a hard time following. You wanted me to fight you? Of course. Jeez, you goody-goody types take forever to understand this very basic point. Why would you go around saying cruel things to get into fights?
Iggy shrugged.
It's something to do. You're an asshole because you're bored. Sometimes I just feel empty. You wouldn't understand. You and Rolo are always having a blast, laughing and calling that dinky little treehouse mission control.
Iggy now wept openly.
Perfect little Luca Van Horn with his perfect little life. My life is not perfect. Everybody in town likes you. Not everybody. Hell, that new girl hasn't even unpacked and she's already liking you. You have Tish.
He wiped his nose with a sleeve.
I love Tish. Tish is great. But she ain't exactly the world's greatest conversationalist, you know?
Luca gave a warm chuckle.
Yep. I get the impression.
Iggy cleared his throat as he wiped his eyes.
Must be raining out here. Definitely.
Iggy arched into a wide yawn.
We should probably try to get some sleep. Yeah. Let's lay low for now. Tomorrow we'll get to the bottom of this.
Luca's eyelids began to slowly drift shut.
Luca? Yeah. I always did want to see the inside of your dinky little treehouse. What did you think? Not too bad. I'll give you a full tour when we get back. You know what?
That's all Luca could whisper before succumbing to sleep. Iggy snuggled in some more.
When it comes to the worst days of my entire life, this one wasn't half bad. Dang it, this is
The
not
house
a
smelled of
useful
warm
story.
bread.
Wait, are we live?
Luca was playing with toy blocks on the living room rug.
Nah, we're not.
He looked up to see his parents on the couch. His mother held his father's head in her lap. She idly stroked his hair while humming a song. A voice behind Luca spoke. "This is how you remember them, huh?" Luca turned to see his own face. The doppelganger from his dreams, still clad in a yellow hazmat suit, still carrying a look of disdain behind empty eyes. Aww, look at this perfectly cozy scene. You know it wasn't really like this. The figure picked up a toy block and inspected it. It's amazing the facades that one can build given the right materials. Not that I blame us. These are a child's memories, all warm and fuzzy. You don't remember, do you? Luca snatched the block from the figure's yellow-gloved hand. Remember what? The doppelganger pointed to the couch. The last day we saw him alive. The day he chose to abandon us.
Dang.
Luca turned to look at his father, still lounging on the couch. That's not true. He didn't abandon us. The doppelganger waved his hand dismissively. Everything is true here. It's just a matter of what we choose to see. Let me show you. The world flickered and pulsed. Luca was sitting next to his bed, listening to his heartbeat with one of his dad's stethoscopes. The doppelganger limped into the room. Now, we both know that's not how this went. He grabbed Luca's hand and guided the stethoscope to the floor. Luca heard muffled shouting, brought close by the stethoscope. It was his parents, fighting. Do you remember what we did next? Luca gave a slow nod and crept down the hall to peek through the banister. He could see the outline of his mother at the bottom of the stairs. Damn it, Walt. We can't afford to get involved in this.
Oh boy.
She was scared. His father stepped forward. What am I supposed to do? Just watch? There's a sickness in this town, and we both know who's behind it. I swore an oath to help people. I won't turn my back on them. Luca's mother grabbed Walt. She was crying, pleading. I can't lose you. Walt calmly removed Eleanor's hand from his shoulder. What's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. I could never live with myself if I let Sharper get away with this. Eleanor raised her voice. Spare me your bullshit platitudes. What about our son? Luca flinched, dropping the stethoscope down the stairs. Walt turned with a panicked smile. Luca, is that you, buddy? With tears in his eyes, Luca descended the stairs. Mom? Dad? What's going on? Walt dropped to a knee to meet Luca eye to eye. Nothing, buckaroo. Your mom and I just got a little overexcited is all. Luca placed the stethoscope against his father's chest. His heart was racing. It sounded like you were going somewhere? Walt gently removed the device from Luca's ears. Listen to me, Luca. I have some business to take care of. I'll be back in time to tuck you in. Luca hugged his father tightly. Promise? Walt stood up and walked to the door. He glanced over his shoulder. I promise. With a wink and a grin, he put on his hat and strode out into the evening sun.
Hey, they didn't.
A figure approached soundlessly from the foggy snowfall.
Who dis?
It stood above them, lingering in contemplation. Slowly raising one hand above Iggy, it snapped out 2 brisk raps on his head. From a deep slumber, Iggy sprang up defensively. Whether it was the calming presence or the recognition that he was not in danger, Iggy felt his clenched fists lower.
Just what do you think you're doing?
Luca looked up, gradually remembering his whereabouts. The figure exhaled a cloud of warm vapor.
You two certainly have caused a lot of commotion. What's that supposed to mean? Take it easy, Iggy. You were asleep, minding your own business. You're the one running around knocking on people's heads. I'm sorry if I hurt you, Iggy. You didn't hurt nobody. Anybody. Huh? Oh, I see. You think you're better than me.
When it came to complete strangers, Iggy had trouble cobbling together an insult.
You big-hatted, scarfy-necked furball. Uh-huh. Okay, let's lower the temperature a bit here. Interesting choice of words. I mean, let's just calm down. Who are you? A friend. An observer. A hitchhiker on an infinite expanse of possibility. Is this the narrator? If you must call me something, you can call me Nat.
Iggy huffed with gratification.
How about you make like a gnat and buzz off? Very well.
Nat began to turn away indifferently.
Wait! Do you live here? You might say that. So you know where we are. You might also say that. Look, pal, we just want to find a safe way out of here. You gotta help us or not. Before knowing how to leave, one must know where they are. All right, that does it. Luca, I don't know about you, but I'm getting out of here one way or another.
Iggy turned sharply and began to stomp off.
Enough with the riddles. Iggy, wait up.
Realizing he'd worn their patience then, Nat relented.
Very well. I suppose this isn't the time for metaphors. I'll show you how to get back home.
Luca and Iggy turned around with hope in their eyes.
Come here.
Nat took a deep breath in.
Close your eyes.
Nat exhaled slowly, then snapped his fingers.
Okay, open them.
For a brief moment, Luca and Iggy let themselves believe that some great magic was about to unfold until they opened their eyes and found themselves in the exact same place, cold and disheartened.
Dang. This is your home. This is Beacon Pines. Look, Nat, we don't know how we got here. Maybe we stumbled through some time travel gate in Weepwood, or we teleported to some alternate universe, or is this some cruel experiment by Kerr and his goons? But this is not our home. You're inching closer to the truth. Alas, the reality is much less fanciful. Just give it to us straight. Okay, so be it. As I said, this is Beacon Pines, the original true Beacon Pines. You both grew up here, but the town you called your home for the past several years is a replica, a remarkable achievement of engineering, to be fair, but a replica nonetheless. That's impossible. It's too much work. You don't need a whole town to replicate a whole town. No, you need a whole town to replicate a whole town. Indeed, to pull off such a feat would require immense labor power. That which could be moved would be moved. That which could not would require a precise duplicate. We would have noticed. Someone would have noticed. You'd think so, unless the auditing was impeccable. A mind-numbing attention to detail. As for the innumerable trivialities which complete the tapestry, well, you can leave that to this miraculous thing we call a brain. It has a real aversion to discontinuity, or revulsion even. The brain has a wonderful way of smoothing out the rough edges, keeping us sane. Luca and Iggy looked around uncomfortably. So you're saying that someone made an entire new town and moved us all and no one noticed? Precisely. But why? Why is the one question that can never be answered with certainty. The best one can do is uncover.
Matt narrowed his eyes, furrowed his brow, and uttered,
The source. Why'd you say the source like that? Why, indeed.
Luca began to laugh uncomfortably.
It's all ridiculous. There's no way
He
they
looked
could...
down at his feet. His eyes started back and forth in contemplation. With a sudden pain, a thought struck him.
If this is really home...
He sprinted off into the pale distance. As Iggy turned to follow, Nat called out,
Iggy? It's not too late to turn back. Simply head west through Weepwood.
Chapter 6. The Source. Nat expressed his sympathy with a shrug and sauntered off as unassumingly as he'd arrived. He'd given Luca and Iggy what they needed, and nothing more. As
That's
Luca
crazy.
sprinted across the snow, the events of the past few days became clearer, pieces to a larger puzzle. Rollo said he was underground somewhere, captured. Mr. Kerr tried to cover it up with lies. The clipboards were hell-bent on capturing Iggy. It all seemed to point to perennial harvest. But right now, there was one thing that Luca needed to know. Luca stopped dead in his tracks. The tree was gone. Uprooted and moved, leaving a raw gash in the earth. He dropped to his knees and dug wildly at the cold snow. His numb hands hit something hard.
The headstone.
A dry whisper escaped Luca's lips.
You're here. All this time I thought I was visiting you, but you've been here alone in the snow? Dad, I'm so sorry. They ruined your favorite spot in the world. Our favorite spot in the world. Dad, what do I do?
There was no reply, just snow-covered silence.
Why is the story getting so sad on me again? Why'd you give me the slip like that? What if I couldn't find you, you jerk?
Iggy finally noticed the tears welling in Luca's eyes and the snow-covered grave.
Oh, Iggy, they stole his tree, Iggy.
Suddenly, they heard the crunch of approaching footsteps in the snow.
It's gonna be Mr. Kerr, isn't it? We gotta hide. 259K. Fall off distance, still good. Dude, did you hear me? I said 259. Sorry. You ever think about what we did here? We saved a whole town of people. Doesn't it feel like sometimes, what about everything we left behind? That's the grave of someone with a family. The people who love them will never know the truth. The truth is overrated.
He bent down to scoop up a snowball and lobbed it playfully.
Hey, don't be such a downer, dude. We took this job to change the world. Yeah, come on. It's almost lunchtime. What kind of way was that to walk? Was that a moonwalk? Haha, weirdo. Here, I thought I was a jerk. These dinguses are out here literally dancing on graves.
Luca stuttered through heaving sobs.
I thought I was visiting him. I thought he was with me. Not gonna lie, that's a bad break. Here's some
Iggy
advice.
gave Luca a solid smack on the back of his head.
Dang. Hey. Who's any of this helping? What? Sitting here in the snow crying like a pushover. Who are you helping? Iggy, look what they did. They lied to everyone. Blah, blah, blah. Luca Van Horn, you're a lot of things, but you're not a pushover. What did I tell you before? When some jerk comes at you, acting like a horse's ass, I should stand up for myself. Hell yeah. Kerr and his merry little band of clipboards pulled out this switcheroo for a reason. Nat mentioned something about a source.
Luca wiped his eyes with a sleeve.
Whatever is the source must be awfully valuable to Perennial Harvest. Sure, it would be a shame if something unfortunate were to happen to their precious source, wouldn't it? What do you have in mind? If it's small enough to steal, we'll snatch it. If it's too big to snatch, we'll smash it. And what if it's too big to smash?
Iggy flashed a mischievous smile and cracked his knuckles.
I'm always up for a challenge. I'm gonna make this right, Dad, I promise. Let's do this. Locate the source. It can get awful cold out there in those woods, Luca. Probably best you two stay put and conserve your energy. Help's on the way. Where's Rollo? Where's my mom? Did you kill her? Oh, heavens no, do I seem like that?
Iggy and Luca shared a skeptical look.
Well, do I? Aw, shucks. Now that hurts my feelings. Screw that guy.
A disc of smooth metal was lightly covered in snow. Two faint seams were visible along the surface.
A manhole cover? If it is, I've never seen one like it. Wait a minute. If this is the original town, that means...
Iggy darted behind a large pine and began digging furiously. He emerged holding a shoebox with a crude skull painted on its lid.
Ooh. What's that? Long story. So a few years back, I came to possession of some premium grade fireworks. Not those wimpy ones stuff. Not that wimpy stuff they give kids. The good stuff. So why did you bury it under? So why did you bury it under a tree? That's a long part of the story. You and Rollo were doing chores at Rollo's chicken coop, and you guys pissed me off for some reason.
Luca rolled his eyes with realization.
No, you didn't.
Iggy stifled a chuckle.
Yep. I just wanted to give you guys a little scare. But like I said, these were some primo fireworks, so I might have underestimated them. You blew up the chicken coop. I prefer to think of it as an incendiary redecoration. Sorry, but you should have seen the look on your faces. Rollo got grounded for months, which is why I need to stash the evidence and lay low. So I buried them under that tree. When I came back for them, they were gone. Figured some grown-up found them and tossed them.
Iggy triumphantly raised the shoebox.
Turns out it wasn't the fireworks that got moved. It was us. Unbelievable. Do you think this is a game? Newsflash, boyo. You're not a hero. You're a little brat who's in the way over his head. A hero is just someone who refuses to give up. Comics these days are rotten children's brains. Everyone thinks they're a spaceman superhero. I was always partial to Hank Atomic myself. Is that so? Do you really think you have a chance against us? You have no idea how powerful we are. Prepare for blast off, loser. Well, I already know how this goes.
Luca and Iggy inched up to the edge of the hole with bewilderment in their eyes. Arctic air breathed out of the cavern in heaving gusts.
Echo, 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 echo. Whoa. I can see why they wanted us to move out of the town now. Why did they dig a giant hole? I think this is it. This is the source? It's a dang hole. How do we smash a hole? Oh, it's much more than that, my annoying little friend. Grr. Where's Rollo? I wasn't lying before. He's safe. Well, safer than you two, at least. Drats, it's cold. You just had to drag me all the way out here, didn't you?
Mr. Kerr gazed down the abyss in contemplation.
It really is something, isn't it? What did you do to our town? What is all this? Well, that's a doozy of a question. This is the source, where they collect the unrefined,
Kerr scratched the back of his head.
Honestly, boys, I don't understand any of this enough to explain it. Fact of the matter is, I'm not paid to know. What do you mean you don't know? Ain't you in charge? Oh, heavens no. My role is merely to flash a winning smile and manage various complications. Complications like us. You are a smart boy.
His face contorted into a saccharine grin.
Saccharine, nice word. It really is nothing personal. Some people are destined to strive for greatness, and others are simply obstacles along the way. Seems like you were destined to be a creepy lackey. The point is that we all play a part in our life. Mine just happened to be lead in the role of a lifetime, and yours happened to be extras ready for your curtain call. We aren't giving up without a fight, you know. Your smile's not gonna be winning after we're done with you. Now, boys, there's no need for the melodrama. It makes even a professional such as myself embarrassed for you. Let's change the mood a bit.
Kerr snapped his fingers.
Scene change. I thought the whole scene was gonna change. I'm really disappointed. There, that's better. Deal with them.
Iggy turned to Luca with a sly glance.
Why are you smirking? Because I have a box full of fireworks and you don't.
Iggy waved the box into the air, threatening to drop it down the hole.
Stop! Let's not do something regrettable. Joke's on you. Regret is one of my specialties. Out of curiosity, what would happen if I threw these into your precious hole? Nothing. Nothing at all. You're a terrible liar. I'll have you know, I am an exceptional liar. Bup. That's far
Iggy
enough.
plucked a single bottle rocket from the box and held it up with reverence.
Stop, you fool. Call off your goons.
After a long pause, Mr. Kerr flung up his hand with frustration.
Very well. You can all head back for the night. It's been a long day. I'll handle these two from here.
Mr. Kerr sighed into the frigid air.
It's just us now, Iggy. You can put that down. What, like this?
With a nonchalant flick, Iggy tossed the firework into the hole.
Well, this is in. Ooh. Whoa.
With a growl, Kerr leapt at Iggy, crashing through Luca. Iggy tried to twist away, but in the struggle they both tumbled over the side. Luca dove forward, bracing Iggy's hand just before it slipped. His grip was made precarious by the cold, wet snow.
Precarious.
He could see Kerr further down, clinging to Iggy's coat.
You reckless child, what have you done? Luca, listen to me. Hold on tight and use the walkie-talkie to call them back. What channel do I use? It doesn't make a damn difference. They're always listening. If you do that, the clipboards will just haul us up and snag us both. The only way you get out of this is if Kerr is out of the picture. Just let go and save yourself. If he lets go, we both die. I don't want to die, but seeing that look on your face almost makes it worth it. Mr. Kerr, you've had a long life. Why don't you actually do something selfless and just let go?
Mr. Kerr gasped with insult.
Long life? I'll have you know I can still play 25. You should have heard me sing the part of Phileas the Young.
With a wild look in his eye, Mr. Kerr began to hum a proud melody.
From dum-dum, ruppity-dum-dum. Wow, can you believe this guy? A charm, thank goodness.
Luca's hand began to cramp. His voice began to crack.
Kerr, just let go. No can do. If you want to save your friend, you'll have to save me too. Luca, look at me. It's okay.
Luca felt Iggy loosen his grasp.
You aren't going to kill your friend like that, are you?
Every muscle in Luca's body burned.
I'm not even his friend. Yes, you are. Nah, I'm just a no-good bully. Like you, Kerr. Iggy, no.
Luca felt his hand slipping.
And I told you what you need to do with bullies. I can't. It's your only way out of this mess. 2 birds, 1 stone. It makes sense for us to fall together. Wackadoos travel in packs.
A calm settled over Iggy's face.
Oh my goodness, Iggy is selfless. Luca, let me do this.
Iggy's voice was colder than the bitter air billowing from the chasm.
Let me do the right thing for once. Luca had no choice but to refuse Iggy's request.
Luca had no choice but to refuse Iggy's request. He tightened his grip and reached for the walkie-talkie in his pocket. A wild delight crept onto Mr. Kerr's face. That's a good lad. Now, radio for help. Iggy begged Luca with his eyes one last time, but Luca pressed the button and called out.
No.
We need help. Mr. Kerr is in danger. It wasn't long before they were once again surrounded by clipboards. Mr. Kerr sighed with relieved frustration. There you are. You really are a worthless lot, aren't you? Mirror, now. A clipboard dutifully produced an ornate ivory hand mirror, and Mr. Kerr began preening his tousled hair. Ah, that's better. Mr. Van Horn, I applaud your sharp thinking under duress. I'll put in a good word for you with the founder. Take them away. A swarm of hands overpowered Luca. The last thing he saw before a cloth bag was pulled over his head was the defeated look on Iggy's face.
Dang.
The end. I think this was one of those times where doing the right thing was the wrong thing.
Alright. Oops. Oh. We'll do the accept, but I'm pretty sure I need to go in a different way. Is there any other situation here? No? Only the accept option.
Luca had no choice but to accept Iggy's request. With a quiet blink, Luca watched a teardrop sail down into the howling void. As his fingers slowly gave up, he met eyes with Iggy.
Good.
The two silhouettes were swallowed by
worse.
darkness.
Oh, not the firework, too. Hell of a goodbye, Iggy. Luca, you should really step back. What? Quickly. It didn't freeze everywhere. Curious. Ah, but of course. Those fireworks of Iggy's might have been just the right amount of energy. We should get out of here before perennial harvest arrives. Not until you tell me what just happened. Your friend's sacrifice just saved this town. For just a little while, anyway. How? Tempest Tempest liquiamine is a peculiar substance. It can change the relationship between matter and time itself. But doing so requires unfathomable energy. In a closed system, the energy can only come from its surroundings. A useful side product of this property being, by adding precisely the correct amount of energy to it, one can create a cryogenic cascade. So the gunk makes things cold and the fireworks made the whole freeze over? That's one way of putting it, yes. As dumb luck would have it, the fireworks weren't strong enough to generate a runaway reaction. I shudder to think what would have happened in that case.
We have some idea what that would look like.
It would take them a good while to safely break through and access the source again. If you know all of this, why aren't you helping? I have been, in my way. Each one of us has our role to play. Iggy's role, it turns out, was to buy us precious time. Mine has been to observe and wait. Wait for what? You. Me? Why? What's my role?
A fierce twinkle flashed in Nat's eyes.
Luca Van Horn, you are going to save the world.
With a chuckle, Nat turned and walked west. Dumbfounded, Luca followed behind him, trudging through the snow. Every step taking him further away from everyone and everything he knew, and closer to destiny. To be continued in Beacon Pines, Pines Harder.
What?
Revenge served cold Second time's a charm?
2 charm.
Wait, that's it? This ends with a crummy cliffhanger just when it was getting good? I was even starting to like Iggy. No way. I refuse to be associated with some never-ending parade of sequels. Let's go back and find something more definitive.
Dang. Okay. Where are we? Where are we left? Oh, we finally got something. I think we're getting close to the end, maybe.
And in the stillness, he began to hum. After the death of his father, Luca had trouble sleeping. Each night, his mother would sit at the foot of his bed and hum a gentle melody. It was the only thing that could calm his mind. The only thing that, however briefly, could make it all seem okay. That melody pervaded every memory Luca had of his mother. Shivering in the raw snow, he began to hum it out loud.
There's like nothing. The camera's just panning in. I don't hear the hum at all. Hum, hum, hum.
Gran lowered the torch, listening closely. As recognition slowly set in, her heart sank. Those countless nights of consolation, the incomparable loss they shared together. She let the torch fall to the snow and sizzle out. A few steps toward Luca was all she could bear before dropping to the snow herself.
Aww.
Through a flood of tears, she began to hum along, note for note. Luca lifted his head in astonishment. The last time he heard that melody was the last night he saw his mother.
Gran is not... Wait, I don't know. I'm so sorry, my little buckaroo. Buckaroo? The only people who called me that are my dad and your mother.
Luca blinked through blurry, watery eyes, trying to see more clearly. He could just make out the impression of a familiar face. He peered across the snowscape at the woman on her knees. Something about her was undeniably his mother. Only smaller, older, changed.
Mom? That's right, buckaroo. Mom?
Luca sprinted as fast as he could toward his mother.
What?
They held each other close, and the cold retreated from their bodies.
Eleanor? I thought you were gone. You should have known I would never abandon my son.
Eleanor looked down at Luca, tightening her embrace in an appeal for forgiveness.
How? You're a smart man, Joseph. I thought you'd have pieced it together by now. You were exposed? Mom, I don't understand any of this. What happened to you? Where did you go? Why did you leave? I never left you. I was always right here, Luca. Why did you lie? It tore me up, but I did it to keep you safe. I thought that giving answers would help us both move on. But the more I discovered, the more I realized the danger we were in. Until perennial harvest was stopped, it was better if everyone thought I was gone. You could have trusted me. There are bad people, Luca. They won't stop until they get what they want. And they don't care who gets hurt in the process. Then what do? We have to stop them.
Joseph slumped into the cold, wet snow.
They can't be stopped. This is too big. I've tried beating them at their own game. I'm done fighting with fire with fire.
For the first time in a long time, her voice felt like her own again.
No more lies. I see now there's a better way to stop perennial harvest. Cold, hard truth.
Luca gazed down at Nuncreed with pity. He looked small. Joseph stared into the snow as if searching it for answers.
Come on, everyone. We've got a party to crash. You don't understand. He always wins.
Chapter 9.
Woo!
The Devil You Know. 7 months ago. Eleanor Van Horn crept down the maze of sterile hallways under perennial harvest. She stopped in front of the large steel door marked Deep Engineering. No turning back now. She raised a trembling hand. The stolen keycard worked as promised, and the door buzzed open with mechanical efficiency. She was immediately hit with the smell of disinfectant. It was some sort of laboratory. In one corner was a desk covered in papers. Across the room stood a tall metal pod with hoses protruding from its base. She rushed to the desk and began shifting through the piles of papers. They were experiment reports on something called Tempus liquamen. There were dozens of them, every one stamped failed. Eleanor heard the sharp echo of footsteps approaching. She was out of time. Her eyes scanned the room, eventually landing on the strange pod. Muttering a curse under her breath, she dashed over and dove inside.
And that is what change is all about. Grabbing the future by the scruff of the neck and making things happen. Change is choice. I am tickled pink that we will all be making that choice together. How great is that? This man is a liar. Excuse me? I will not. This town has a dangerous secret, and perennial harvest only exists to keep it hidden. Nonsense. They picked up the whole damn town and moved it right under our noses. You aren't making any sense, dear.
Mr. Kerr addressed the crowd with a sarcastic tone.
Imagine such a thing. It's absurd and just plain impossible. They promised they could fix the foul harvest. They told us they could clean this place up. We just had to leave town for a few days. But while they had us evacuated, Mrs. Hartford, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to. You're afraid of a lot of things, aren't you? You sniveling little worm. This is growing tiresome. A little help, please? Don't you all see? This festival is a sham. An excuse. An excuse to have a whole town gather in one place. They're planning something awful. I don't know what, but these people are wicked. Don't listen to her. She's absolutely no proof. I am the proof. I'm Eleanor Van Horn.
Whispers filtered through the crowd.
Well, aren't you sneaky as the dickens? We all knew Valentine's fertilizer was too good to be true. And now this whole town is paying the price. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so sorry about this disruption. My associates will take this obviously disturbed woman somewhere comfortable so that she can get the help she needs. She's not the one who's disturbed. You two-timing clown. You all know there's something wrong here. It was just easier to look the other way. The truth is, puppy's gonna... That's quite enough, Mr. Nuncreed.
Torment dragged on Joseph Nuncreed's face.
Yes, sir. Take them away. No, I want them to see this. The ever-tempestuous Eleanor Van Horn. You've been quite the thorn in my side. Like a weed that's burrowed in there where it doesn't belong. I must confess you look dreadful.
He paused for a moment, plucking a piece of fuzz from his sweater and discarding it to the ground.
Consider yourself in rare company. You've managed to pull one over on me. It won't happen again. I knew you had some sort of plan to disrupt our little party. But alas, I expected something a bit more impressive than incoherent rambling. No matter. Your failures are yours to bear. Mr. Kerr? Yes, sir. It is a shame it was cut short, but I thank you for your rousing oratory. I will take it from here. Yes, sir. Of course, sir. You have done quality work for me, William. You can look forward to a recompense we agreed upon.
Kerr gave a bow of deference.
Founder, you are most gracious.
Gasps rippled through the crowd.
Thankfully, we can dispense with the formalities from here on out.
Solomon pulled a glass vial from his pocket. In one smooth motion, he downed its contents. A triumphant smile grew across Solomon's lips.
You can all call me Sharper Valentine.
His body and face began to contort and expand as he disappeared into a belching green mist.
Ooh.
A hushed horror gripped the crowd.
Yo.
This is a story about change.
What? No. Ah, so you didn't see that coming. Good.
Sharper examined his new hands.
Well, this is quite the improvement. Everything looks so much smaller now. Eleanor was right about one thing. This festival was a ruse. I wanted you all to witness my glorious return with your own eyes. Why does everyone look so downtrodden? This is a celebration, people. Maybe it would help if we set the mood. Mr. Kerr, be a dear and reveal the sign. Sharper Valentine Festival. Wonderful.
Sharper choked out a crude squawk of a laugh. Frustrated grumbles sprinkled through the crowd.
Sharper, you malicious bastard. I'm glad you're back so I can tell you to your face. You destroyed this town. We ain't gonna let you get away with it again. Sorry, this is not time for audience participation. Some assistance, Mr. Kerr?
William Kerr gave a subtle nod to the clipboards.
You coward. Does anyone else have something to contribute?
A helpless quiet settled over the crowd.
I thought so. Did you all truly believe you could be free of me? A town of complete and utter fools. You people should be celebrating my return. You're clearly lost without me. And that leads me nicely to my children. Daddy? I gave you both the greatest gift a parent can give, the opportunity to prove yourselves in my absence. Squandered. To say I'm disappointed would be an understatement. But silence, Augustus, and a daughter speaking. I don't know which is worse, a son who's completely hopeless, or a daughter with such potential who inevitably lets me down. Eris, you fail me with admirable consistency. Thankfully, I was counting on it this time. Father, I have been wasting time, my dear. What have you accomplished? I was focused on cementing our legacy. Legacy? Who needs a legacy when you could just live forever? But what about... It's alright, kiddo. I'm afraid you suffer from a complete lack of imagination. There's just no helping it. Now then, where is Joseph? You didn't take the opportunity to slip off, did you? Ah, there he is. Everyone should give him a hand. None of this would have been possible without Joseph. I think you've said enough. Nonsense! These people deserve to know how helpful and loyal you've been. I only did what I did because he left me no choice. You always have a choice, Joseph. You were simply too weak to take it. No matter, cheer up. You are able to be rich beyond your wildest dreams. You should follow Mr. Kerr's example. When I found him, he was a sorrier state than any of you. An aging actor, desperate to recapture his youth. He played his part, and soon he'll be able to play the leading man again. Forever, in fact, if he remains loyal. That goes for all of you. Well, those who haven't already frittered away my goodwill, because Beacon Pines is mine again. And I am willing to share its spoils in exchange for absolute loyalty. Are you saying William Kerr was never in charge of Perennial Harvest? Ha! You think that puffed up blatherskite could have accomplished all of this? Don, I suppose it's time for your big exclusive.
Sharper addressed the crowd with indignant pride.
Oh boy.
He'd planned this moment for so long that now, at the deed's fruition, it almost felt frivolous.
You see, I needed a figurehead to hold things down while I orchestrated my return. Someone to misdirect, lie, and bilk this town for a spell. So I invented William Kerr. Take your bow, you've earned it.
Mr. Kerr flourished a preposterously elaborate bow.
Patrick C. Montesquieu, thespian extraordinaire, at your service. Founder, I just want to thank you again for this opportunity. It truly was the role of a lifetime. Wait, so this Bill Kerr was a patsy the whole time? Patsy. Now that your secret is out in the open, what's to stop this town from rising up against you? Oh, that's the delicious part. Fear. Thanks to our clipboards, I know what each and every person in this town fears most. And I will make those fears manifest for anyone who steps out of line. This choice is simple. I'm not afraid of you. The young hero. I've kept a keen eye on you, boy. You and your friends made a habit of disrupting my plans. What a pity if things would have gone a bit differently. You might have had your moment of triumph, but that's fate for you. You can't do this. Oh, but I can. I have won. Never underestimate what a great man can do given time. And now, time is my plaything. Perhaps the most expensive thing I've ever bought, but well worth it. Ha!
Sharper coughed up one final laugh and cracked his knuckles.
Enough chit-chat. Let's get to work, shall we?
And so, Sharper set about remaking the town in his own image. The fertilizer factory soon reopened for business. Sales rose steadily as more and more farmers across the countryside began to swear by its miraculous properties. Beacon Pines became famous, a secretive town that, for the right price, shared its gifts with all. Gifts that became more and more necessary in a world where winters grew longer and longer. The end. This is wrong, but things are becoming clearer now. You can feel it, right?
Yeah, I can.
We can't let Sharper win. He might just be the key to this whole thing.
Okay.
Let's see.
Where do we go from here? There was here? Malice. Let's do this next time. I'm running out of energy. We're almost there though.